Oh, I got one. This story's incredible. So I'm down fishing at my usual spot down at Lake Mead, down at the point. And I'm not down on the very point. I'm back towards where you come in. There's this cool little cove. And I've caught a lot of big fish in there. In fact, my own personal record for carp was out of that spot. I believe it was 17.5 pounds. So I'm back down there again. And I'm just fishing. I cast down into the middle of this cove. Nothing. Suddenly I start getting a little bump. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. I'm watching this and I'm like, okay, I'm sitting in my car. Pretty soon, I don't get the usual, zzz. I'm just kind of getting some activity. So I go up and I check my pole, and there's something there. So I go ahead and try to set the hook. Feels funny, but I'm still getting a little. So I get to a point where I'm like, I know there's something on here. So I start kind of slowly reeling in. And the line drifts off to my right, and I get stuck. Well, this happens a lot when you're carp fishing down there, because there's brush, there's submerged brush down there. So I just let off, and I usually try to let the fish swim his way out of it. And so I let that happen, and I start bringing it in, and the line goes right back to where it was, and I'm stuck again. This goes on for probably a good 20 minutes. So finally, I can't pull him in. I'm stuck. So finally I just put the pole down. I go back and sit in the car for probably a good 10 minutes. I'm like, I'm just going to let him go. So I get up after about 10 minutes and I start reeling in, and this time he doesn't go that way. He's coming straight at me. So whatever happened, and it still feels funny. Something don't feel right. So I start reeling him in and working him slow. This isn't your usual haul in. Finally I see a fish boil out there about 20 yards. So there's definitely a fish on. So I start pulling it in. I'm getting it closer to shore. I'm coming in. And I'm like, this is weird. Something that still don't feel right. Something's weird about this. And all of a sudden, I reel in this fishing pole. My line was all hooked up around one of the eyes. And I reel in a fishing pole. And I pull the pole in. It's all dripping and soaking and everything. And I grab it. And I get my line unhooked from it and separate it from my fishing pole that I was using. The fish is on this pole. So I start bringing him in. I start bringing in this fish on this fishing pole, and I get him up to shore and I land him. He wasn't huge. He was probably a good 5 or 6 pounder was all. That's not very big for a carp. Still a good fight though. And I look over down at Bugle Face there, and he's looking up at me, and I unhook him and I let him go. I caught a fish that was on a fishing pole. I caught the fishing pole that had a fish on it. What are the odds? How long was he down there? So somebody lost a fishing pole for one. There was nobody there. I'd ask, hey, is this you? Now, when I brought this pole in, I started looking at it and I started to realize this is just the kind of pole I like. It's got what I consider to be ideal action. I'm very, 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 very particular about fishing poles. I like a certain action. I like firm action. I don't like one that's too bendy or too, I like these. This is perfect. I'm like, I caught a perfect fishing pole. So I've never gone fishing with it. This is still the hardware that was on there. And I've included it in my collection here in the rig. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this a few times. I'm going to clean this reel up one of these days. It's not great. There's some rust on it. And if I like this pole, maybe, just maybe, I'll go get me a nice brand spanking new reel for it. So when I take this thing out to go test it out, I have a feeling I'm going to like this one. So not only did I catch a fish, not only did I catch a fishing pole that had a fish on it, I caught a pole that I like. Doesn't get better than that. That's crazy. Who knows? Probably some, I don't know if they were fishing in a boat. Most people down there fish off the shore, so somebody wasn't watching and their fish went in their pole went in the drink. And who knows how long. This pole must have been what was getting caught up in the brush. And that's why it just didn't feel, it felt strange when I was pulling it in. That is crazy stuff. That is some crazy stuff. You can go that's like a hole-in-one, man. I've never hit a hole-in-one, but I have with fishing. That is crazy stuff. That's my latest story. True story. What are the odds?